the flop of the season is... Alright guys, welcome to the flop of the season race. So essentially, in this video, I'm going to be naming the leading candidates to being the flop of the season. Now I'm going to start off with a few names that were in huge consideration of this, what we calling this, a trophy, an award, if you call it. But look, you know what? Let's just get right into it, right? So first name on the list is Kai Havertz. Yes, you heard me right. Now look, I know he has a lot of goal contributions this season. He's actually been decent. I'll say it. He's been a very solid player. Very solid, right? But the price tag is hefty. And you know what? The performances has, made up for the price tag. I won't lie to you. It has. And that's why he's not the flop of the season. But he was in huge consideration because his recent form is what's really keeping him, out of the award. But look, at the end of the day, even next season, I think this season was the best Kai Havertz you're gonna see. I'm honest. Am I a hater? Maybe, but I genuinely think that the Kai Havertz you saw this season, you're not seeing him again, and not just because of his ability. I think that Arsenal are gonna be buying a new striker this season. They're gonna be buying a new centre midfielder this season. The left-sided midfielder. Which was left, empty by Xhaka. Now, I think once these two positions get filled, Kai Havertz is not starting unless injuries happen. And I think because of that, we're never going to see him in full form ever again. But even beyond that, this season, first half of the season, he was very poor. He was still dog shit, but he's made up for it now, so I'll get off his neck. Now the next name, another Arsenal player, Jurrien Timber. Now look, we've not seen him play, so I'll give him some space. What can he do? If you don't play, you don't play. But man, getting an ACL injury in your first Premier League game, we're not questioning the ability. I think he's genuinely a good player, but if he can't stay fit, you can't stay fit. He's been worse than Nkunku. He's been worse than Nkunku, man. And Nkunku's not been great because of the lack of appearances. Look, at the end of the day, as much as I hate to admit it, as a Chelsea fan, availability is the best ability. So with that in mind, Jurrien Timber, I'm not going to give him the flop of the season because there has been worse. But, mate, if you don't step it up next season, then it's going to be a mad one. And now we're going to go to a Man United player. But it's not the Man United player that you're thinking of. It is Andre Onana. Is that right? Andre Onana? I think it's right. Onana. Yeah, the goalkeeper. Look, man, he's been actually solid now, right? Since Man United got kicked out of the Champions League group phase, he's been improved. He's been very solid. Arguably top 5, since UCL. They got kicked off the UCL. But look, man, we can't ignore the bad performances we saw in the beginning. Now, granted, like I said, I'm a fair man. When players redeem themselves, and so because I'll get off his neck, right? But 15 goals conceded in the group phase, horrid, man, terrible. You have to criticize those performances. It's literally a horrid record, and look. Onana was the centerpiece for that. So, yeah. But in my opinion, there has been more expensive and worse players on this list. Moving on to a City player, surprisingly, even though they're probably going to win the league here. But we're going to Matias Nunes. Now, Matias Nunes, he's not been that bad, to be honest. Ability-wise, he's all right. He's a pretty good player. But we just haven't seen enough of him. And I can't, even then, not only does he barely impact his team's performance, I don't blame him, to be honest, it's Manchester City, but still. And second to that, man, he's just it's not good enough. We've not seen, what was it, 60, 40 million, something around that. It's a lot of money, and if you're not getting a lot from that, then it's shocking, isn't it? So, for me, he is a flop so far, but flop of the season, definitely not. I've got, 2 names? Yeah, I've got 2 names left. Brace yourselves. One of these players is so horrid. I can't believe I ever thought that he was a good player, but we'll get into that. Now, before we get into the flop of the season, the most honourable mention I can give is Tali. Now look, I'm a big fan of Tonali, to be honest. I'm a big fan of AC Milan. I watched him play a bit. I like his performances. I like the player itself. And look, I think when he is, at a suspension, I think he's going to be putting on very, very good performances, and he's going to be helping Newcastle a lot in title runs and whatnot. But look, man, availability is the best ability. So with that in mind, joining for a whopping 70 million and not playing a single minute of Premier League football is horrid, man. Unacceptable, honestly. If it was an injury, I might even give him, a bit of leeway here, but a suspension, man, not good enough. I know Newcastle fans are really, really mad at that, but look, let's see what he does in his second season. But yeah, now there's only been one man, and I say one man, worse than Tonali, and his name starts with an M. 2 M's, actually. I think you all know who it is. Former Chelsea player. No, it's not Havertz. He plays for United, and his name is Mason Mount. Now look, arguably Tonali's been a worse signing, but I actually rate Tonali, and I think that once he comes back, he's back, right? But I think Mason Mount is going through poor form, but beyond that, he has got an injury, so he's not even been available to his team to be bad. And I think that's a position that's like really bad. When you're not performing and you get injured, you're just in a place where you're a bad asset completely. And 50 million is a lot of money. And look, Mason Mount has shown class in the past, mate. A Champions League final, this and that. He's won a decent amount with Chelsea. And look, for a season, he was considered our best player in 2020, but since then, that was 4 years ago, right? Beyond that, he's not even been that good for the past 2 years. So that is what, for me, warrants him this trophy, right? This big trophy called Flop of the Season. I think it goes to Mason Mount. Now, that's my personal opinion. Can Mason Mount turn this around? Sure, definitely. He definitely has a chance of turning it around. But for me, this whole season, he has been the biggest flop. So, yeah. What do you guys think? Let me know in the comments. Who is your flop of the season? I'd love to know that. Comment and subscribe, guys. Like. And I'll see you all next week. And look, stay tuned, guys, because next week I'm probably going to do the top 10 Premier League transfers this year.